Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be reviewing the 56TP. I'll have more details in the description below on what event it will be a part of. I'm going on a vacation, so I'm pre-recording this video quite in advance. Anyways, let's get into it. So it is a tier 8 premium Polish heavy tank. It has pretty low DPM. It's only 390 alpha, and even at the level I had it, 10.93 second reload, so it takes quite a while. Has a very good aim time though and accuracy, so the effective DPM is actually quite high. You'll hit your shots more often than some of the really derpy tier 8 heavy tanks, but the drawback is a long reload. The power to weight is solid for a heavy tank, dash under 18, top speed of 40. You can definitely mess around with turbo and such if you want. I'm actually pretty sure I didn't even run field mods in this upcoming battle, so there's that. Not completely necessary. I ran full bounty equipment, V-stab, vents, rammer. The loadout is really up to you guys. This is one of those tanks where there's a lot of possible loadouts. You could run turbo, but the gun is good enough that you can possibly even drop V-stab if you really want to. I wouldn't recommend it. I like running this very versatile sort of loadout that has good gun handling, makes my V range over 445, and has the best DPM. The V range, like I said, I got up to over 445, didn't even use the field mods. 1500 HP, which is pretty standard for tier 8 heavies. Gun depression 9. All of that's really solid. The crew is the same as the other Polish heavy tanks. Pretty common: commander, gunner, driver, loader, with the commander being the radio operator. The ammunition, 221 pen for the standard round, 1000 meters per second shell velocity, which is actually pretty good. For the premium rounds, 252 pen, which I think is the same as the CS52, the tier 8 premium Polish medium tank. 1267 shell velocity, again, pretty solid for a tier 8 heavy. Now, quickly looking at the armor, we'll just be using the standard rounds in this case, just to show how weak the upper plate is. Tier 6s and 7s can go through the upper plate, no problem. The lower plate is not what you actually want to aim for unless you are below. So just aim for the upper plate, really weak. Cupola is also a big weak spot. Cheeks are weak, but also if you look next to the gun, there seems to be weak spots on either side of the gun. So just aim either side of the gun, and most likely you'll be able to pen if you have about 220 meters of penetration reasonably consistently. Because of the way the hull is shaped, side scraping is not super effective. You might be able to bait shots into the side or into the tracks, but this, if you expose this, you're going to get penned right away. There's another weak spot on the side. Side armor is okay, but the only thing it's good for is you won't get penned by HE more often than not. Other than that, we'll get into the battle real quick. So here we go, Karelia Assault. I do have kind of a non-standard gameplay approach on this, so hold tight. While I go, I'll explain what I think of this tank. So it's solid. It's definitely not overpowered in any way. It has a bunch of weak spots. It also has low DPM, so it's not going to chew through enemy tanks super quickly. I'm trying to think of a really good example where it just dominates. Most recently, the Cheeto SP, the tier 7 Japanese tank destroyer. That thing just annihilates tanks, even tier 9s that it can see. This thing, on the other hand, will not. With it maxed out, you'll only get to about 2200 DPM, so it'll take quite a while. With the gun depression, though, you can play ridge lines, which seems to be quite common in most of the maps in the game at this point. And like I said, the mobility is acceptable, though my aim is not, apparently. Here we can see that really long reload. And I love crit hits on EBRs. Another example of just super long reload. Now, that was a good example of a 50-50 shot with this gun. Some of those you'll pen, some of those you won't, but you are accurate enough to aim for the lower plate. I decided not to there. The upper plate was probably a better shot. Now, is this tank worth it? That is totally up to you guys. There is another Polish heavy tank already in the game. There are arguments to be made that it's better purely because the 440 Alpha allows you to trade much more, and the armor is definitely a lot more trolly on that tank. This tank, if you're hauled down, you're okay. The turret is a lot bigger though, from the side profile, and I don't think the weak spots are as strong as, I guess, the other tier 8, I believe, is a 50 TP prototype. Now, that shot, I don't totally know how that didn't pen. I guess it went to spaced armor. But here we can see some ridgeline gameplay. The reverse speed is also decent. It's just a solid all-around tank, but depending on how it's being introduced, which again I can neither confirm nor deny because I don't actually know. I don't remember. I am just reviewing the tank itself, not the event. So if it's going to be easy to get it, go for it. If you don't have a premium tank and you can get it mostly free or completely free, I think it's worth it. Now that shows some shell velocity right there. This thing can snap shots that other tier 8 heavies cannot. But if it's going to only be sold in bundles or anything like that, I don't know if it's completely worth it. There's other things you can get that are just as good, if not better, for, well, anything really. Now I wish this thing had like a second quicker reload. I would have hit so many more shots. It's just that extra second from 10 to 11 seconds that makes this thing a little bit annoying to play, and how all of it seems to work. Okay, sorry about the not having audio earlier in the video. Not that it's a big deal. I've actually played so many hours of this, so many thousands of battles without audio. Not that necessary. But here we see a limitation that I'm not entirely sure why, but the penetration drop-off seems kind of extreme. The VK is a reasonable distance away. We'll see, and I'll be able to confirm the distance again. So at 250 meters, it is, and now we can see a shot that with HE still did quite a bit of damage. There's the accuracy I'm talking about, straight into the cupola. As we can see, I haven't bounced a crazy amount of damage. I'm already down to a one-shot. Some of that is because of bad pokes, but for the most part, I've been hull down the entire time, and people have just been hitting shots that went into my cupola, my hull, things like that. This thing does snipe pretty well for a heavy because of that accuracy and aim time. That is a solid benefit. Especially mid to late game like this, where I'm just cleaning up at max render, which not many heavy tanks can do consistently. Sure, you'll hit the occasional shot, but you won't always hit those shots. Well, there's the replay. We'll get into the post-game stats in a second. Here we go. First class, nothing super crazy, a little over 3,000 damage. Got a decent amount of assistance though. I would say this thing is probably... I don't want to say what the standard average damage will be, but it's pretty much on par with the other Polish heavy tank, the 50 TP prototype. It's different. It has different strengths. The armor is weaker. The gun is better. Can't trade as well. DPM is probably pretty similar. I didn't actually run it through comparison, but is it worth it? Looking at all of this, like I said, if it is going to be your first premium tank and it's really easy to get, I would say yes. If you have a ton of premium tanks, if you already have the 50 TP prototype and you already have a trained Polish crew, it's just one more generic premium tank. I don't think it's anything special. It's not super quick. The gun is okay, but not fantastic. The DPM is quite horrendous compared to some of the other tanks in the game currently. And it doesn't have anything that makes it stand out. It doesn't have that high alpha. It's not an auto loader. It's not an auto reloader like the Passante. It's up to you guys. I don't think it's worth picking up unless you're a collector. Hopefully this video has been helpful. I'll be on hiatus for a couple of weeks, so don't expect any content. I might stream when I get back. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And if you have anything else, feel free to always send me a message in Discord. I'll see you guys around.